Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Agile PMP. I want to talk to you guys today about risk, specifically about contingency plans versus fallback plans. So, what are you going to do when some risk event occurs? Are you going to change your course of action, or are you going to implement some response to it and just try to deal with it and continue on the same path? So, risk. Now, there's positive risk or opportunities. There's negative risk or threats. We're just going to talk about the threats today. I know most of us don't really think of risk as positive. We don't really think of those as the opportunities. We'll cover that on another day. Let's just stick with the negative risk, the threats. So there are strategies for negative risk. You can avoid risk. You can change something so that it's no longer a threat. You can mitigate risk. You can take some activity to minimize the impact or minimize the probability that this risk event is going to actually occur. You can transfer risk. You get like some insurance policy and shift that risk to another party. You can accept the risk. You can passively accept and sort of do nothing, or you can actively accept and maybe put some money aside, some contingency reserve, some money away. All right, but we're not even talking about any of that. But those are all strategies for negative risk, for threats. Let's talk about contingency response plans, all right? So there's the fallback plan and there's the contingency plan. The fallback plan says that you're going to change something. You're going to do something different, and you're going to change your course of action. And the contingency plan says that you're going to implement a particular response when that risk event occurs. So let's imagine you're in a plane. Let's imagine you guys are flying. You're in Delta, United, Southwest, whatever it may be. You're in one of these planes, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of turbulence. Plane starts shaking, everything's getting kind of like, yo, this is a little hairy. Some people don't like that. All of a sudden, ding, ding, seatbelt sign comes on. Captain gives a little message, everybody, please, take your seat, put in the seatbelt. We have some turbulence. We're gonna put the seatbelt sign on, and we're gonna ride through. So that's your contingency plan. Maybe a contingency plan says that the pilot determines, all right, we have some turbulence here. Let's put the seatbelt sign on. Let's see if we can ride up and get above it. All right, let's get above all of this turbulence and find some soft weather, some nice, easy skies to fly in. Right? So that would be your contingency plan. Then you have the fallback plan. Maybe that turbulence is too much. Maybe it's too high to get over, too low to get under. You can't do anything. You got to go around it. So in this sense, maybe the pilot takes a detour, takes a route, goes the long way. Maybe your flight comes in 10 or 15 minutes late, maybe only 5 or 10 minutes late. They might be able to make up some time. But either way, they changed course of action. They did something different. So they abandoned the primary plan, which would be go straight. Right? Shortest distance between two paths is a straight line. So if you're flying from one airport to the other, they're trying to take a straight path, use the least amount of fuel. Well, fallback plan says we're going to abandon that plan and we're going to go around this weather and then come back. All right, so that's your fallback plan. So many times in life, you guys face these things. You face scenarios where you have to make a determination. Do I push through or do I change my course of action? Maybe that's when you're driving to work and there's a bunch of traffic. Contingency plan says maybe I'll weave in and out of traffic and I try to, drive into this lane and go and get ahead of a few cars and then switch back to the other lane. Or fallback plan says get off the freeway, drive on the streets. For those of you sports fans, think about the NFL. Peyton Manning's gone, but he was famous for this. At the line of scrimmage, changing the play, making all kinds of calls, signals, looking around. All right, so if it's a contingency plan, that means that blitz is coming. You got the defense, more guys than the offense can block. Well, hot read, some guys got to be open. I'm going to dump off with a little pass. Fallback plan says, I recognize that the blitz is coming. I change the play at the line of scrimmage. I call out some protections, and I run a new play. We've changed our course of action. So that's what you guys got to remember. Contingency plans, you're sticking with the same plan, but you're implementing some additional response so that way you can continue to push through. Fallback plan says, I got to change my course of action. I got to do something different. So when you guys are faced with these threats, and you can't avoid the risk, you can't mitigate the risk, you can't transfer the risk, you can't accept it or, passively or actively by putting away money or doing nothing, well, then fall into some contingency plans or some fallback plans and see if that might help you. Better yet, plan those in. That way, when the risk event comes about, you already know what to do. That's it. Share this video. Hope it's been incredibly useful. And as always, create solutions, adapt processes, think strategically.